Season 4 from Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone kicks off this week, and today I want to take a look at absolutely everything that you need to know ahead of the launch of the new season. As we go along, drop your thoughts below on what you're looking forward to or not with Season 4, and do me a huge favor, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it or you find it at all insightful. If you'd also like to subscribe, I'd truly love to have you in the community and to keep you up to date with all things Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 6, X-Defiant, and other FPS content here as we chase down 600,000 subscribers this year. But for now, let's take a look at everything that you need to know about Modern Warfare 3 Season 4. So firstly, when is the Season 4 update? Well, it's going to be starting at all one static time across the globe. According to the blog post detailed last week, it's going to be starting at 9 a.m. Pacific, 10 Mountain, 11 Central, and noon Eastern this upcoming Wednesday, May 29th. That's also going to equate out to 5 p.m. in the UK, 6 p.m. in Berlin, 8 p.m. in places like Moscow, 2 a.m. in Seoul, South Korea, 4 a.m. in Sydney, and elsewhere. So on screen, there should be a handy little guide that helps you out with additional time zones, just in case that none of those North American times detailed by the blog, if they don't cut it for you, hopefully that should help. Now, as for an end date, if Season 4 is like the last few, we're looking at a 55-day season or an 8-week season. This looks likely based on the fact that we have 8 aftermarket parts as well, which, while not detailed this time in the blog post, what we've seen recently in regards to aftermarket part distribution is 1 is the redacted sector of the battle pass, 7 are in weekly challenges. That would account for all 8 that we've seen already detailed. Now, pending there's no changes, that'd be my assumption on what happens and we see a blueprint in week 8. But even if that doesn't happen and we see things slightly changed, I mean, you still have 8 weeks of aftermarket parts available. So that would bring an 8-week season to the end date of July 24th, leading into Season 5. Now, as the time currently, there is a preload available for Battle.net, but nothing yet for consoles. That usually happens within the 12 to 24-hour window ahead of the launch of each season. So for some, you can start the download now, but for most others, I'd imagine not until tomorrow at some point. Now, things that you want to make sure you accomplish before the end of the season, there's actually a decent bit of them. Firstly, the weekly challenges for that Allegiance's animated mastery camo. The weekly challenge system for Modern Warfare 3 has been, personally speaking, I think, a very nice way to reward grinders throughout the season. The Golden River camo from preseason was nice. The Coherence camo in Season 1 was, I thought, missable. Wasn't great. The Rotten Inferno camo was one of my favorites as of Season 2, but this Allegiance's camo, I kind of think it's hit or miss. I'm not the biggest fan, but it's certainly not the Coherence camo from Season 1. So if you want to grab this, you want to make sure that you complete all your weekly challenges ahead of this seasonal refresh here on Wednesday. Each of those weekly challenge sets are kind of focused around whatever aftermarket part is that reward for that week. And also, if you have anything that you really need to still keep track on, as of Season 2 Reloaded, we did also end up seeing the introduction of that challenge tracking, which is a massive help. So you can see in-game what exactly you need. But that said, let's say you have some unearned aftermarket parts. What happens? Do you need to be rushing frantically to try and end up unlocking these last second before the season refreshes, and like the camo, things may go away forever? Now, thankfully, unlike camos, an aftermarket part can be a functional part of gameplay, so it is something that is still available after the season itself concludes. Instead of going away or having a challenge associated with it, it's instead going to go into the Armory unlock system, which you can end up completing those by completing daily challenges or winning matches and getting points towards those. So you can still work towards those, but if you don't complete them, it's not the end of the world per se. Additionally, make sure you finish your battle pass if you care at all about that. It is something that I know some people are hit or miss with, but that's something that will be going away forever. The functional items, again, like the weapons and the aftermarket parts, those are going to go into the Armory unlock system if you do not complete those, but things like any cosmetics, blueprints, or stuff like that, they won't be available again. Also, if you care about hitting the max level for that blueprint associated with the max level, make sure you do that. And of course, recognize ranked season end placement rewards and resets. Ranked does have camo implications for Resurgence this season within Warzone. So if you want any of those camos, you're going to end up getting on Wednesday when the new season kicks off, the camo associated with whatever your highest placed skill division is. I'm personally bummed I didn't grind enough to end up getting to Iridescent this season, so I'm going to end up getting the Crimson camo, but even if you D-rank at any point, whatever the highest rank you achieved is, that's the camo you'll be granted. Now, that said, unless you're going for top 250. Anybody that wants the top 250 rewards, same thing for regular multiplayer ranked as well, you have to finish in the top 250 to end up getting those rewards. So if you drop down to 251 and outside of that top 250, unfortunately, it doesn't credit you retroactively as if you hit top 250. You have to finish there. But anyways, that's stuff you want to make sure you complete before the end of the season, but let's talk about content, but in a more so refresher fashion, because we talked about this last week when it was revealed. Let's talk about this content with multiplayer first thing, though. Multiplayer, it was a slight slowdown on the quantity of maps, but still in line with what just about every single season really for the last few years has introduced, minus Vanguard, of course. Those seasons only introduced one map at launch and one at mid-season. Instead, this time around with Season 4, we have 6v6 maps at launch of Tokyo and Paris. Paris is not a remaster of Resistance, though it does take place in the city. I saw some speculation that maybe that would be the case, but again, when they detailed the TAC map for that, you can see it's not the exact same thing as Resistance. But speaking of, I'd be curious to see what you guys think of remasters like that. Like, on one hand, especially given the historical rehashing we've seen in recent years, I'm kind of surprised that post-launch we haven't seen more remasters this year, but on the other hand, I honestly love not getting any remasters, just having new maps. And again, we kind of flipped that script where at the beginning of the year, because the game launched with only remasters, we're just kind of getting the new content as the game builds with the year, if that makes sense. But I'd be curious to see your thoughts, because like there's a lot of classic MW3 maps from 2011 that obviously we haven't gotten just yet in this, but kind of cool maybe. But for me, I think that you'd have to add one on top of as additional content while keeping 3 to 4 original maps per season. That's just me. But anyways, in season, we'll also see the maps of Incline and Das Gross, which is the DOS House Vortex variant. Love the name of that map too. Not gonna lie, I think that's just really funny. You'll have the new weaponry that we just broke down a couple of days ago. We went in a deep dive on all that, but you'll have the Kar 98K, the Superi 46, the Reclaimer 18, and the Sledgehammer, with both the Reclaimer and the Sledgehammer coming at mid-season. Now, the Reclaimer looks to be that redacted reward from the Battle Pass at mid-season with the redacted sector, and the Sledgehammer probably will be an individual challenge inside of that redacted sector. So completing all 5 of those challenges and subsidiary redacted tiers grants the ability to complete that challenge for the Reclaimer at mid-season. Some classics returning. We've got the Kar 98K, loving that, the Spaz 12, obviously, and then we also have some aftermarket parts. We have the Jack Harbinger kit for the M4, turning that into a 50 cal, the Jack Gunslinger for the Basilisk, increasing the revolver capacity to 8, the Jack Volk for the KV inhibitor, making that a 2-shot sniper rifle, or rather 2-round burst sniper rifle, the Jack Scimitar kit for the FGX Horus submachine gun, giving it a drum mag, the Jack Thumper 656, which expands the RGL 80's capabilities, the Jack Requiem, which negates almost all vertical recoil for the Cast-Off 762, the Jack Decimator, which ends up turning the Lockman Shroud into a full auto, not a burst, so basically just like a Lockman sub 2.0, and the Jack Intimidator, which will end up limiting the Renetti handgun fire rate, but might have some trade-offs that might be good otherwise. But anyways, that's your weaponry. As for new perks and equipment, we actually do have some gameplay altering things here coming with Season 4, where you have the new perk Vest of the Mission Control Vest, which is essentially your classic Hardline Pro. You're going to end up getting credit for every 2 assists. So not like just Hardline, but also Hardline Pro offering that extra benefit from way back in the day. You have the new gear of the Compression Plate, which takes that vest that we saw in Season 3, and then just makes it an actual gear item as well. So you don't have to take that as a vest. You can take an infantry vest while also still gaining that quick fix ability. We'll also have the new Killstreaks of the IMS, or rather returning Killstreak of the IMS, the Loitering Munition, which is kind of like a cross between the Mosquito Drone and the Swarm, mid-range of that. You'll have the Missile Drone, which is the Reaper from Modern Warfare 3 2011, and the DNA Bomb returning, which I'm very curious to see what is going to come of this. They say it's not going to end the game if you complete this, so with a redacted amount of kills necessary, I'm wondering if this is going to be like the classic nuke from Modern Warfare 2, where you can have 25 kills, but it can be anything with your kill streaks. And as we'll touch on in a second, some mode alterations will allow you to end up having kill streak kills count towards your streak. So that might be one of those things where, like, normally you end up also having the ability to end up getting a DNA bomb if you end up getting a lethal streak counting towards that streak. So we'll see how that works out, but those will be introduced with Season 4. We have the new modes, or returning modes, of Demolition, Hyper Cranked, which is starting on that cranked timer with those benefits, Havoc from Modern Warfare 2 coming back, and Headshots Only. Now, the other thing that's cool about modes is the game modifiers. They're not going to be in every single playlist, but will be in a sort of experimental way. So maybe we end up seeing these effects transferring in Season 4.5 or Season 5 as permanent effects, but for the time being, you're going to see them intermittently sprinkled throughout. The biggest one that I care about is looping kill streaks, where streaks will reset fully once you reach the upper end of your current streaks. So if you get an advanced UAV, you can loop back around and get another UAV and keep that streak going so that you can keep going on a streak that you want to. So you can keep going for that MGB or DNA bomb. I Love that. That's something that we haven't seen since before Modern Warfare 2019, which is crazy to think about. Like, yes, we had it in Cold War, but at the same time, you had that cooldown feature, which wasn't really any help. So that was something that I'm loving hearing that this is going to be coming back. Huge win in my mind for that kind of stuff. We also saw that kill streak kills will count towards your streak in some cases, and you can end up getting things like a kill streak cache, where when a player is eliminated, they drop a cache containing a percentage of the earned kill streak progress. So one kill might be worth 500 score or something like that in theory. So that'll be cool. We'll also see additional modes throughout the season of the Vortex Mosh Pit, revamped Get High as a new playlist coming, and the Mutations mode for the mid-season event. Beyond that, we're going to end up seeing the operators of Soap as the premier operator, Hammer and Void, and then the Black Cell operators of Dupe and Copy. And these ones are really interesting because this is something that's new introduced to the season. Those two of Dupe and Copy come with an execution that I believe can be transferred to all operators, but they come with an execution that will literally steal enemy skins when that execution is completed. Not from like their accounts or anything like that. Like they're not stealing actual what you paid for out of that, but in a like shapeshifter effect, which is interesting. So visually think of like Copycat from Modern Warfare 2, that death streak where you copied the class of the enemy that killed you, but instead with an operator skin upon execution. Such a weird, crazy idea that I kind of like it. It's really certainly unique. So that's something that rounds out our multiplayer offering. On the Warzone side of things here, it's interesting. You have some fundamental changes coming, but nothing like too crazy. Urzikstan, you're going to have that bunker update where there's increased activity across Urzikstan that focuses on those bunkers. They say there's more high-level loot here at this. You have secondary bunker exit hatches that you can end up getting out of if somebody's trying to hold that one-way entry and exit. But they also stated that not all bunkers appear to be accessible and that further investigation is going to be needed to explain that. So I'm wondering if that's going to be any sort of like Easter egg or leading to an event of some kind, but we'll have to wait and see. We're also going to have the Urzikstan Gulag get updated with 4 different variations coming for the Gulag. All slightly different, but nothing too insanely crazy, just subtle little differences that you may notice. Also, for modes and public events, you're going to have the return of buyback solos, which is where you end up having a certain amount of cash required to respawn automatically, but you can spend that cash at will. So like in Verdansk, when it was a thing, it was 4,500 in cash, I think, for your buyback. So you could end up buying a UAV if you wanted right out of the gate, but if you died, well, then you wouldn't come back. You don't have a Gulag. That's the consolation here of why you have cash to bring you back. You don't have a Gulag, so if you spend that money and you die, you're just done. But if you do have above that threshold, you'll be able to come back into the game. That'll be interesting. I'm excited for that one to come back. I love that back in the day. It's stated we have additional modes where operators should expect a number of redacted modes as the season progresses. I'm assuming that's just going to be some like seasonal themed items, but we don't quite know. There's also a new feature of the Warzone rewards coming at launch, which will offer things across economics, contracts, social, modes, and champions quest rewards for all that kind of stuff. One of the images showcased a camo we are not familiar with, so I would like to hope that we get a new camo coming alongside these sort of Warzone rewards, but we'll have to wait and see. Specialist is coming to Urzikstan. It's no longer just on Rebirth Island. We're going to have new introductions of the tactical sprint boots in Urzikstan, which will be from the bunkers, but it will give you a permanent increase to your base speed and an infinite tac sprint improvement. So really interested to see how that plays out. That might be, I don't know if I'd say OP, but like, I mean, that sounds really interesting and a hard deviation from some of the stuff that we've been seeing the last year and a half, which I'm okay with. I love more mobility, so don't get me wrong on that. We'll also have the Polaris Razor, a new vehicle coming to Urzikstan at launch. We'll have loot hot zones at launch. We'll have redacted weapons in mid-season and the runaway train in mid-season as well, where the final zones will focus on that train and be moving. Now, finally, zombies. Mid-season, we're going to have the Unstable Rift, which is essentially like I kind of liken it based off this description, what we had for the round-based, air quote, zombies from Vanguard, where you have to go into this Unstable Rift, and then you can end up fighting hordes of zombies. So not necessarily like the DMZ zombies that we have right now. Somewhat of a deviation back to the classic zombies, but not quite fully. Now, it is mentioned that there's only going to be one team that can enter these rifts at a time, but it also is mentioned that there's going to be multiple that do pop up as the game progresses. So it's not going to be like you have to rush there, and then if you don't get it, you kind of waste all the gear you came in with. Thankfully, that's not the case, but that's the only stuff that is detailed at Zombies for Season 4. So, yeah, unfortunately, we still don't have anything for Zombies that makes it really worthwhile unless you're like a camo grinder. Beyond that, rounding everything out and kind of tying it all together with a bow, we have additional events and rewards. We, of course, saw a preview of our weekly challenge camo, which I think looks really cool. It's a DNA bomb themed camo coming for the presumably 8 weeks of completion in the Season 4 challenge sets. The black and green animated camo, I'm in for that one. We have new weapon prestige camos, which is going to firstly require you to unlock one trick on whatever weapon you want. So you have to do that prerequisite of getting 150,000 XP firstly, but then earning an additional 200,000 XP on top of that will give you the Season 4 weapon prestige camo, which is an animated version of Obsidian from Modern Warfare 2019. I personally love that. I loved Obsidian back in the day, so looking forward to grinding this one out a little bit. We're going to have new Pride Month daily login camos, so a few different camos logging in each day, and we're going to have a few events of the Critical Countdown event lasting from May 29th to June 26th, the entire first half of that season, where you have to collect DNA samples from fallen foes to earn rewards and uncover the truth behind the recent DNA bomb discoveries in Urzikstan. We're going to have a Gundam Legends event on June 5th to June 19th, and then we're going to have 2 events coming that are classified. Now, one of those I can probably bet is going to be that leaked Fallout event, and then there's also that other one that is the Crow event that was leaked, but we'll have to wait and see because we just don't have any information on that stuff just yet. But that is Season 4 in a nutshell and everything that you need to know here in regards to what's upcoming. So that is where we're going to wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts down below. What are you guys looking forward to? Or again, maybe not in Season 4. Is there anything in particular that stands out to you? Anything that you like or dislike? Let me know. But if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare 3, Season 4, X-Defiant, Black Ops 6, all kinds of FPS coverage. We got you covered here on the channel. I'd love to have the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.